It is 251st day of Ukrainian struggle. I am Vasily Samakvalov. Mediacentrу Ukraine is working, and we are about to talk about artists and art. Who we have with us right now are the representatives of Lesya Ukrainka Lviv Academic Theater with us, and especially the director of Imperium Delendum Est, Dmytro Zakhozhenko, Chief Director of Lesya Ukrainka Lviv Academic Theater, Anastasia Lisovska, and Anastasia Perets. So the reason why they are here is that in France this play will be played 3 times within the framework of program we are about to talk about. So the first question is, what kind of performance is this? Why is this empire, and why should it be ruined? Well, I think there is no need to explain what kind of empire this is and why it should be ruined. It's kind of obvious. So this play is our first primary reaction as a theater on this primary shock of the first war, of the first months of full-scale invasion, when the theater didn't know how to continue perform its play, how to continue producing its plays, whether the theater will take place, it has to take place these days, whether there will be place for theater these days. That is why we simply try to assemble together to read to read the poems, to sing songs, to tell each other our stories and to listen to stories of other people. So the whole idea was that at the very beginning, this play was designed as the outside to play outside. We were aiming to play it in the shelters. That was a period when Lviv was overcrowded with people, and Lviv rooms were overcrowded with people, and there was a need to work somehow with this trauma and to speak about this trauma, to bring it to the light and not to sweep it under the carpet, but to work with this reality we are living in. So where will it be shown? In what cities? In what scenes? So the play will be performed in Lyon, in the theater, in the National People Theater in Saint Etienne, and in Valence. These are 3 big theaters, 3 big scenes in Lyon. The one in Lyon is a scene quite a highly regarded one, because this is a scene where the modern French theater was born and originated. There is a huge number of top artists working there, and that's another honor for us to be able to perform on this scene. Can you please tell us more about, maybe your colleagues will join? So what is this? Is this kind of manifest? Is it a narrative about the events in Ukraine, or is this something in between, or maybe some third option? What is the idea you are bringing to European viewers? Well, I have a question. Why are we talking in the future? Because this is something that has already happened. Okay, for me, this performance is a way to live through all these emotions and memories. And I don't know, to try somehow, to some extent, this is therapy. And also, when it comes to a broad auditory and audience, personally, I see for myself a mission on bringing light and enlightenment to tell about our adversaries, about our problem, and to bring it to the spot. Because what I saw with my bare eyes, that Europeans do not clearly understand what is going on in Ukraine, this war is about. And here in Ukraine, when we play it, I understand for myself that this is a way to live through this experience with the viewers who come to us. And we are the direct actors of this big play and in this war. And the exchange of experience to crying this all out through together, and especially when those people in the theater audience are trying to cry, I start to cry with them. So that's what it means for me. Well, all right. If for them that's an experience and for us that's a therapy, how did they accept this therapy? Foreigners, you mean? Yes, correct. Well, in different way. What was the reaction of people in the audience, in the hall? Well, I think that to some extent the reaction was a little shocking because we had a chance to talk to foreigners there, and as I understood, they thanked us for us being able to tell it to them because they are not quite aware of this. And there was a woman, I didn't see her personally, but she was crying her eyes out, and I did not see it, but my colleagues told that she was really crying with all her heart. And as I take it, they do not clearly understand what is going on in Ukraine. And at some point, they even told us that you Ukrainians are the ones who protect not only your country but also our freedom and us. And when it comes to these tours, that was important for me to meet our IDPs there, and for them, that was important to talk through all these emotions and to share these emotions with somebody. For me, that was even more important than the performance itself. At some moment, I understood that it is extremely important simply to be with them and to talk after the performance with them about these problems and to give them the idea that we are waiting for them back. Can you tell us about a story that impressed you most? Well, uh, so when it comes to question whether this is our pain or our therapy, I wanted to emphasize that these are our personal stories in this performance. We are telling the poems written by Ukrainians, but before that, we are explaining what happened to us on the previous day before this. And these are the stories of each of the women there on the scene. And there was a discussion in Valence after the last third performance, and there was a woman in the audience. She asked, "Whose stories are these?" And when we told that these are our stories, they were impressed. I don't know, maybe they thought that this is just words of some other people as a documentary theater or something created. But no, when they heard that these are the stories that happened to us, they were impressed. And this woman who came to us, it seems to me that was in the city of Lyon, there was a couple who came to us. And a man tried to talk to us with little rusted language, and he said that I am from Lithuania, and I understood that we all know what Russia is, and maybe here in France people do not understand completely what this is. Maybe they have some kind of illusions about that somebody can negotiate something with Russia or to deal with Russia, but us and we understand what Russia really is. And this lady with this man, she stepped into conversation and she started to cry, and she said, "I'm so sorry that this country, that my country, France, can do that little for you." And this was the empathy moment that touched me to the bottom of my heart.
Дуже класно.
But all in all, the organizational questions, the organization of our performance and our tour was on a quite high level, and we saw the sympathy of all the people in the audience, and we saw, judging by their reactions, that they really show the sympathies to everything we are performing. And also, I would like to add that this performance was not something created for the foreign audience. And at the festival in Vivian, we had to bring another performance. But it happened this way that this is the performance we brought with us. And of course, we had some fears about that because I did not think that this is something that will be brought there outside of the country. And even though there is many aggression and drastical things, too many hateness, too much aggression in this performance. And basically, that's all what the actors wanted to express. You mentioned the word manifest. Yes, indeed, that was a manifestation of our state and an attempt to. And one of the traps we were afraid to find ourselves in. We did not want to transmit the position of a victim. We wanted to transmit a position of a strong, united country. That is why there is swearings, there is anger in this performance, there is a scene of offensive scenes, and I was really a little bit scared of how this all will be accepted, especially in Vivian. And there is a portion, a part when Anastasia Lisovska in the theater when we are playing, she's sitting in front of the people and she's telling her monologue and her experience that has to do with this full-scale invasion and occupation. In Avignon, we decided that in this time, Nastya will go right into the hall, sit down there, and will tell her story there. And that was quite a spectacular scene, and it was felt in the air how reconsidering this war for French people is, because this war for them is somewhere there, 1,000 kilometers far away from there. And another thing is when this very war is here on the distance of a handshake, and indeed this seemed for them something really closer than it seemed, and it was a wonderful way. But European viewers heard us, and we performed this play in Germany, in Poland, in France, and every time the viewers watch it, they sympathize, they cry out, and always this reaction takes place. In France, all these three performances, and were all three rounds of huge applauses. And in France, I'm not even sure, but when we were coming to the audience to bow, somebody started to sing, and everybody else catched up with him, and this was a beautiful union moment. I did not pay attention whether these were the girls who started to sing or the audience started to sing, but all in all, that was quite a logical continuation of our performance, and it is impeccable how it is accepted by the audience, because this is the experience nobody can ignore, and one cannot close his or her eyes on it. If you see it, you cannot ignore it. Okay, another question. How will Ukrainian art and theatrical art change? Will it be a manifestive one? Will it be a dramatical one? And how will European cultural space change? How do you think? Since our war will become a part of European cultural space, and we all know that through the culture, this way or another, this makes this war is closer to Europeans through movies, performances, and so on. How will all this change in the future? How do you think? Well, it's hard to do any forecasts, but I'm sure that Ukrainian art will have his word in Europe, and it has already given its word in Europe. It has already been represented on the international festivals, and our theaters are more and more involved into foreign tours all around Europe, and even our theater is involved in it. I think that today, in these days, the most interesting that can be done, it can be done in Ukraine. And for the nearest future, I think Ukraine will form this avant-garde, this artistic avant-garde, and I want to believe in it. What is the further fate of this performance? Will you perform it in Ukraine? Do you plan any another tours? Well, especially with this work, with this performance, we have too many agreements for performances play abroad. For example, in 2 days we're going to Bucharest for the biggest theatrical Romanian festival, and we already have agreements about a new tour through Europe, France, Belgium, Germany, and Great Britain. Also, we are conducting negotiations regarding the tour to United States of America. We already have agreements um, to perform in Washington, and right now we are organizing the details. That is why I hope so much that this play will not be played by us for a long time, because it will end exactly at the day of Russian Federation signing its capitulation. Do you adapt this play to the times? Do you adapt to the country you're going to? Do you adapt this format to the countries? Well, I will try to say that in this play there is my portion, my monologue, and I'm trying to adapt it to my feelings I have right now, because they change in accordance with the flow of the war, and in accordance with my thoughts, and with accordance with what I see. So yes, it changes a little bit, but because we also are changing during this war. But when it comes to outside audience, for the foreign audience, I would say that we decided, and that was a quite correct decision. I have a more specific monologues that suit more to Europeans and foreign audience, because it's mostly, I would say, I do my statement about my experience. Because in Ukraine, I'm mostly sharing with those people who are also going through the same events, and we simply go through the process of exchange of our thoughts. But when it comes to foreign audience, I'm simply trying to do narratives and to explain what I see. Maybe Anastasia will add something. Well, do you wanted to say something? Yeah. Well, obviously the performance changes a little bit, and the play, those plays that we perform in Ukraine, they differ much from what it looked like in the premiere day. Most of the monologues and dialogues and narratives changed, but at the same time, this wonderful effect when we are performing it abroad, they did not go with us through this phase. They did not have this evolutional development and understanding what is going on and how to struggle with it and how to cope with it. So there, this kind of primary statements, primary shocks works best at the very moment when this play was created, as if it was the first time we are doing this.
Бо цей больовий поріг, він все
And this painful level is increasing and increasing. This way or another, there is too many awful things happening that it's not possible to accept it on the same level you're accepting them the first time. This way or another, a human still adapts to it. And somehow you're getting used to this pain, because it's not possible to be switched on all the time. And we're trying and in addition to that, the reality itself changed. What is going on these days is not the same what happened there, for example, in May. In May, people went through this war in completely another way, and they were different when it came to accepting this war. And right now, we have to remind people that the war still goes on. People are still dying, even now. There was a period, for example, before those mass bombardment that was that happened at the end of September. There was a little mm, little cooling off, and those people thought that there is this cooling off really taking place. But at the same time, that's in the nature of human to let the hair out and not to be in the tonus all the time. So in Ukraine, it remained like this. And European viewers and European audience accept this in a different way. For them, any statement will be a shock, and this will be shock therapy. But this way or another, I can definitely state that European viewers are very em- empathical and show empathy. And sometimes it's hard to be able to listen to hear what. Sometimes for them it is hard to acknowledge what they hear and what they see behind those numbers translated there on the TV. That is why these kind of things we are doing. These are extremely important to build this dialogue with the foreign viewers. Thank you so much. Well, I think we will sum up at this, and I simply want to conclude that there is a performance that is continues to develop, that has a therapy effect, and that is important in order to build Ukrainian context for foreign and European public. And with this context, you go there and you tell the whole Europe about our war and about our life during this war. And right now, soon you're going to Bucharest, and you still have plans to go to another countries. And we are hoping that this performance will be the last time this play will be performed is at the very last day of our victory. Thank you so much. Our next briefing will take place at 12:30. We will talk to the leadership of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, and we will talk about